Good morning. An investigation into the Return to Nature funeral home that began in October has reached a major milestone, resulting in 2 arrests that were made this morning. Here to talk are 4th Judicial District Attorney Michael Allen, along with representatives from the Colorado Bureau of Investigation, the Fremont County Sheriff's and Coroner's offices, and the Federal Bureau of Investigators. We're going to start with District Attorney Michael Allen.
Thank you, everybody, for being here today. We're here to announce that John and Carie Hallford have been arrested in Oklahoma in connection with the investigation that was started on October 3rd, 2023 in Penrose, Colorado. To protect the investigation and subsequent prosecution and the rights of those affected, we will not be getting into the facts of the investigation at this time. I want to stress that all persons arrested on suspicion of criminal activity are presumed innocent until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt, and that idea holds true for this investigation as well. Today begins the prosecution effort. It will be a slow and methodical process, and we will be working with affected family members so they understand the prosecution process and what to expect going forward. We will also ensure their voices are heard during this important phase of the case. The suspects were arrested on suspicion of committing multiple crimes, including money laundering, which is a Class 3 felony, theft, a Class 5 felony, forgery, a Class 5 felony, and abuse of a corpse, a Class 6 felony. All of those potential charges include the possibility of prison, but also include the possibility of probation as a sentencing option. All persons arrested in another state on Colorado charges go through the extradition process in the state where they were arrested. A judge in Oklahoma will oversee that process starting today. If a person waives extradition, they will be brought back to Colorado at the earliest opportunity. If a person contests extradition, the process will be delayed until that judge makes an appropriate determination in Oklahoma regarding the arrest warrant from Colorado and a high-level review of the facts of the investigation. The first advisement here in El Paso County District Court will be scheduled once the extradition process is completed. Further updates regarding scheduling in court will come from this office. I know you're all wanting to see the probable cause affidavit. It is currently sealed and will not be available to the media and the public at this time. It was sealed to protect the investigation and the arrest process. My office will not contest unsealing that affidavit at the appropriate time, but that determination will be made by a judge at a later date. I want to warn you, the information contained in that affidavit is absolutely shocking. All persons arrested and charged with crimes are presumed innocent, as I said earlier, until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. And none of the facts contained in that probable cause affidavit should lead people to a different conclusion. Now that the case has been turned over to this office, we will begin formal review of the investigation and the reports generated during that investigation to determine the appropriate charges to file in this case. When that determination is made, we will file a formal complaint and information, and that document is a public record that will be available to the media and the public at the appropriate time. Formal charges are merely allegations and should not be viewed as proving a person guilty of those allegations. They will remain innocent until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt, and that's a theme you're going to hear a lot about from me today. Multiple agencies have been involved with this investigation and have shared information with affected family members as bodies have been identified. That identification process continues to this day. If you or someone you know worked with Return to Nature Funeral Home and or John and Carie Hallford between September 2019 and September 2023, please complete the Victim Information Questionnaire that will be available on our website, on the FBI's website, and other resources as well. Those efforts should help us overcome the challenges associated with identifying the remaining bodies, and will hopefully go a long way towards giving affected family members the closure they deserve. I want to thank the hard work of lots of different agencies that were involved in this case. Most importantly, the 2 folks from Fremont County, the Fremont County Sheriff's Office, Sheriff Alan Cooper, and the Fremont County Coroner's Office, Coroner Randy Keller. Those 2 specific agencies were the first to be involved in this investigation, And this investigation has undoubtedly affected both the sheriff and the coroner personally, but also their staffs to a degree that we will never fully know. Other people involved with this case were the Colorado Bureau of Investigation, and Director Chris Schaefer's here. Thank you for being here today. The Federal Bureau of Investigation played an integral role in this case, as they do in a lot of our high-profile cases. And the expertise and efforts that they provided in this investigation has helped us get to this day today. And then last but not least, I want to specifically thank the coroner's office here in El Paso County. Dr. Leon Kelly worked very closely with Coroner Randy Keller in his office to help identify the bodies that have been identified to this date. That had a huge impact on his office and his staff. And through communications that I've had with him, both directly and indirectly, I can tell you the impact on him and his staff has been immense. And so their efforts have been quite simply amazing, as everybody here. At this point, I want to turn it over to Colorado Bureau of Investigation Director Chris Schaefer for some brief comments. Chris?
Thank you and good morning. So today's a very important step in this complex investigation. Our CBI agents and our local and federal partners have worked tirelessly on this case and around the clock in most instances. The work conditions were very tragic and again, as the DA said, impacted all of our staff. However, through this, they've remained professional and they've remained very, very focused. They never lost sight of the victims in this, and we cannot imagine the pain that has been inflicted upon them. We're here to support them and we'll continue to be here to support them. So there's a long way to go in this investigation. The case continues. We'll continue to collaborate with the district attorney and with our local and federal partners. And I just want to say again to the families, we will be here to continue to support you. And if we can in any way, please let us know. With that, I want to turn it over to the Fremont County Sheriff, Alan Cooper.
Good morning. So a lot of people were curious as to how this impacted my staff, and I can say unequivocally that it was a very negative impact. But we couldn't have gotten through this without a couple of things falling into place. And the first, and I want to give a heartfelt thanks to Governor Polis for his disaster declaration, because without that, this would have completely demoralized my office. In addition to that, I want to give thanks to the FBI's evidence recovery team, which were an integral part of this investigation, and the National Guard Disaster and Casualty Recovery Unit. They actually did most of the heavy lifting in this case. And for me personally, I hope that these arrests will bring some measure of closure to those family members that have been impacted by this event. Thank you. And now I'd like to introduce Randy Keller, Fremont County Coroner.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today's news marks a very strong start to the justice that these families deserve. I would like to take this opportunity to provide an update on the status of our identification processes that are going on at this time. To date, we have positively identified 110 individuals. We have another 80 individuals that we are working on diligently to identify. I would also like to thank El Paso County Coroner's Office and Dr. Leon Kelly for everything that the El Paso County Coroner's Office is helping us on a daily basis. Individuals are being identified through fingerprints, dental records, and medical hardware. Once we have exhausted these methods, we will move on to DNA testing if necessary. Again, I would like to state that every individual removed from the Return to Nature facility has been treated with the utmost care and respect. We have had up to 6 teams notifying families locally, across the state of Colorado, and throughout the United States. Families that are contacted are receiving support with both financial and emotional needs. With the help of numerous agencies locally, around the state, and across the United States, we have notified approximately 137 families, some with positive identification of their loved ones, and others that we have met to obtain additional information to assist with identification. We have released approximately 25 loved ones back to their families as of today. I would like to say that anyone that has not contacted us at this time that has done business with Return to Nature from September of 19 forward should contact us at Penrose Funeral Home at fbi.gov to give information. Each email will get an auto reply with a link to a questionnaire that needs to be filled out. For family members who have not been contacted yet and would like to be proactive, please contact your loved one's dentist if you think you may have a loved one within this case, and send them directly to my office. And my email is randy.keller@fremontco.com. Even though this case is in its infancy, I would like to thank all agencies involved. The cooperation between them has been the key to moving this investigation forward so quickly. We will continue to work as quickly as possible to identify the remainder of the individuals in our care, so we can help bring some closure to the families that have been re-victimized with this horrendous tragedy. Thank you very much.
As the district attorney mentioned, we will have limited ability to answer questions, but you can ask, and I will help facilitate. Zach?
Why did it take so long for an arrest to be filed, considering that the investigation started about a month ago, or the funeral home was investigated about a month ago?
So that question also includes, obviously, some case facts that we need to be careful of. I certainly appreciate the question. This is an extensive investigation that presented specific challenges that are unique to this type of a case. And so I think that played a big role in how long it took. But in the grand scheme of things, considering the challenges that these folks just talked about to their individual offices, it's actually was pretty quick in all respects, considering those challenges, which were immense. Sure.
Were investigators aware of the Hallford's location throughout this investigation? At what point did you learn of that leading to that arrest this morning?
Yeah, so we're not going to get into the facts of how they knew where they were and how long they knew where they were, but obviously they were tracking that, and the arrest, as far as I know, went off without a hitch.
Do you believe they fled Colorado at some point?
They were located in Oklahoma where they were arrested, and I would leave it at that.
Do you know when they left Colorado?
I'm not going to get into that.
Was it ever a question that the 11th DA would handle this?
So one of the big questions that I had when this case first sort of hit our radar was, do we have any jurisdictional connection to this case? And we are satisfied on that front. And I don't see any problems going forward with jurisdiction being prosecuted here. Statute is very clear on that and gives us a clear path going forward on that front.
Has there been a trend as far as the remains that were found? Were they primarily cremation, burial services, just anything to give families an idea if they may have been?
Yeah, so I think that's something that we want to hold pretty tight because that does get into the facts of the case. We are working with family members as they have concerns whether they worked with this funeral home or not, or with the two suspects. But as far as the direct answer to your question, I would refrain from answering it directly at this point. Yes?
Going back to the previous question, what section of the statute allows this office to prosecute this case, given that the investigation started in Fremont County?
Yeah, so the fact that they were centered here, Return to Nature Funeral Home is centered in Colorado Springs, which is El Paso County. That's what gives us our connection. And if you want specific statutory citations, we can get that to you later. Let's go down here.
Just to clarify the body count, or you mentioned two numbers added up to 190. I'm wondering if it's 190 now or 189.
Yes, our current number at this time is 190 individuals.
that time frame you've given about when you're asking families to reach out, is that because you've identified like bodies going back that far?
There's a very specific reason why we're asking for that particular time frame. It's based on facts uncovered in the investigation. I'd leave it at that at this point. Did you have your hand up at some point? Okay, okay. Zach?
Circling back to jurisdiction, I'm curious if charges could be filed in the 11th Judicial District or federally in the future.
Question on federally, I don't have an answer on that. When there is a crime that occurs in multiple places, that would give several different places jurisdiction over a case. Typically, though, two DA's offices in the same state covering the same crime, essentially, would not file charges as well. So the fact that we're going to take the case here will, in all likelihood, preclude charges being filed in any other jurisdictions. Yes, sir.
I'm wondering if, Mr. Keller, if you've seen anything like this in your industry before, and if you are reaching out to anyone who has experienced this.
There have been instances, even within this state, with a similar case. We are working with some of our partner agencies right now that have also worked that case here in Colorado. We have brought on enough agencies and enough help through the Colorado Coroners Association and various coroners' offices throughout the state. And I do want to thank all of them at this time also for all the help that they're offering at this time. But I have never dealt, of course, with anything like this before with my agency. It's been a tremendous stress on my office and my personnel, and I think the personnel of everyone that's working on this. But we had a lot of folks involved that have dealt with similar instances in the past.
I think someone mentioned a natural disaster recovery team. I'm wondering if this challenge is more similar to that than a typical identification process that you're used to.
Good question. I don't know that I can really answer that. You know, our primary concern right now, once we did get the individuals removed from the facility, is identification and doing all we can at this time to support the families and try to get their loved ones back to them.
I know it said the arrest affidavit would be sealed, but can you at least share when that arrest warrant was issued to allow this arrest out?
So it would have been sometime before the arrest is the best I'm going to be able to tell you at this particular point. The arrest occurred early this morning, so you can extrapolate out from there. But once it gets unsealed, you should have that information.
We know the Hallfords have, or at least John has ties to that area of Oklahoma. Was it at a house that they were arrested? Or
Yeah, I'm not going to get into that specifically. Yep. Melissa?
Do John and Carie Hallford currently have the option to post bond, and if so, what's that amount, or what are the circumstances of those?
Sure. So good question. As you know, everybody that with a crime in the state of Colorado is afforded the right to have bonds set on their case. Both have been set at $2 million, cash bond.
Does that apply, though, given that they're in Oklahoma, even though that's Colorado law?
Because it's Colorado charges, the cash bond is $2 million.
What agency arrested them?
Not going to get into that right now. I think there were multiple agencies, though. We can talk about that at a different time. Anything else? One thing I want to say, too, is that I know that there's always this tension where you want as much information as you can on a high-profile case, and this case certainly qualifies as a high-profile case. It affected a lot of family members that were unsuspecting, but we have to protect our ability to prosecute this case going forward, and that's why we're trying to be protective of the information. There's that tension of what the media wants us to talk about, what the public would like us to talk about potentially to find out if they are impacted. And that's why we're giving general guidance of if you did business with this funeral home between September 2019 and today, essentially, and you haven't been notified and you suspect that your family member might be affected, to fill out that questionnaire, to go to the webpage that was mentioned by the coroner from Fremont County so that we can get that information. Hopefully that will help us identify people that have not been identified yet, and again, give these family members the closure that they deserved. But please understand that the reason why we're being so restrictive with the information that we're sharing now is to protect the prosecution effort going forward. That is our secondary most important factor to consider today. First, obviously, is serving these family members who are affected. Yes, ma'am.
One of the things that we kept hearing at the beginning of this was improper storage of human remains. Are there criminal penalties under Colorado law heard some criticisms as far as what laws are on the books. I guess what I'm asking is, are there criminal penalties, and if there aren't, should there be?
So that's what we are, one of the arrest charges is abuse of a corpse. That's specifically what addresses that. That's that class 6 felony that I mentioned. So there are laws that affect that. I think what you're actually asking, though, are there regulations in place from the state that sort of restrict a funeral home from the way that they conduct their business? And that's what I think people probably need to be concerned about going forward is there additional legislation that needs to be passed to regulate businesses like this in the future? And that's a question I think the public needs to have with the legislature.
So the storage, then, that falls under abuse of a corpse?
That's right. Yeah, it can. Yeah.
Do the forgery charges pertain to the death certificate information that was submitted and those death certificates were given to these families?
So let me be clear. These are just these are arrest charges. These are not the formal charges yet. So we'll have to be reviewing that to see specifically what the charges will be as we review the case. But it would be something along those lines, forging a document that is submitted for official records. Yes.
Given the status of the charges being mostly on, they are felony, but they're on kind of the lower end, is the office satisfied with the charges that are currently there, and do they expect those to potentially be elevated due to any other matters that you guys have?
Yeah, so again, there's no formal charges filed yet. We will review the case going forward to make sure that we are filing the appropriate charges and level of charges. But we have to be guided by the law and the facts of an investigation. So we will look at the case, make sure that we're filing charges that apply to these facts, and then going forward from there. These are low-level felonies, and that's why I mentioned they're all subject to potential prison time based on the level of the felony, but they also are potentially option for probation, and that's something that I think people need to be aware of going forward, especially family members, to set proper expectations as to what the level of charges are here and what the potential outcome could be.
Would there be any consideration, although it is rare, for these types of charges to be filed for consecutive or for concurrent?
So that's actually a sentencing provision. These would be optional consecutive sentencing, so that'll be something that we'll be looking at. But that's way down the road. That's when we get to a sentencing phase. We're not even at the filing of charges phase yet. So again, let's keep our eye on where we are currently. But good questions. Yeah, Zach?
Will you personally be prosecuting this case?
Yeah, we're going to set up a really strong prosecution team. I'll be on it. I've got Rachel Powell here with me. She's the chief deputy DA in the office. She'll be on it, and then we'll have other folks as well. But we're going to have, just like we do in all of our high-profile cases, put together the best team we can to achieve the best justice that we can in a particular case. Yeah, Melissa?
Do you have an idea of if you're going to bring on the number of counts based on each individual body, each person that was affected, or go a different approach?
That'll be part of what we're reviewing in the investigation to see what specific charges and how we base those charges. So that's still to be determined.
To be hundreds of counts, potentially?
Yeah, I would rather not speculate right now. Yeah. Keep in mind that first advisement, whenever that happens after the extradition process starts, that'll be the first time they're appearing here in El Paso County District Court. At some point shortly thereafter, within maybe 2 weeks, it will be the filing of charges date, and that will be when we can answer specific questions like that. Okay? I think as far as it goes today, I think we're going to wrap it up now just so that we don't cause any issues with the case and our ability to prosecute going forward. I want to thank you all for being here. And then I want to end again thanking all these folks that have worked so hard on this case. Without their diligence, professionalism, and keeping their eye on finding justice for these family members, we wouldn't be here today. So thank you.
As a reminder, updates are coming only from our office now. I'll be sending them out as appropriate. Thanks, everyone.